Hello everyone, glad to be back. Today is 10th of March, now it's 2 o'clock, middle of the day by Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is my channel in which I share latest updates on the news that are making headlines in Russian media outlets and Russian language pages on different internet platforms. There's quite a few very significant developments and news that I like to share with you for this moment. But before I start, let me repeat myself and say that if you think this channel is interesting, useful, and deserves to exist in this field of news and political commentary, please consider to support with small donations through PayPal or subscribe to my Patreon channel. You will see links under this video in the description box. That's been said, let's talk about news now, and I will start with Ukraine and special military operation. And the first news that I like to share with you is that according to Russian language Telegram channels, forward units of PMC Wagner entered territory of steel plant in Bakhmut. This light colored area here is a steel plant. So as you can see, PMC Wagner is very active still in Bakhmut and tries to establish new positions from all the directions, from north, from east, from south. When it comes to steel plant itself, some experts are saying that it will take quite a long time for PMC Wagner to establish control over that territory. But even though I'm not military expert, analyzing information for last 2-3 weeks at least, I will say that in my understanding, Ukrainian army, Ukrainian garrison of Bakhmut, particularly if we are talking about Bakhmut, are on the breaking point, not just in terms of military readiness, but also in terms of psychology. Units are too tired; they want to be withdraw from Bakhmut, and I don't see those units to be capable of giving a good fight at this stage of Bakhmut operation. That's why, in my understanding, PMC Wagner units will probably establish full control over this steel plant here before end of next week, maybe. That's my guess. Let's see how will the situation develop. Let's continue with some other news, and I will share with you this information, according to which PMC Wagner units establishing new positions in close vicinity from Bogdanovka, which is suburbs of Chasiv. And I did report about this a few days ago, but now we have yet another confirmation, this time from PMC Wagner, as I understand, that they truly are in vicinity of, let me show you on this map, in vicinity of Bogdanovka. That's Bogdanovka here, and even this pro-Ukrainian map basically is acknowledging this information. PMC Wagner units are not entering Bogdanovka yet, maybe because they are waiting. Both decision will be made by Moscow about possible humanitarian corridor from Bakhmut, but there was no information in media that Kiev even tried to conduct any negotiations with Moscow about humanitarian corridors. So, in my understanding, even if Moscow even delayed offensive of Russian side in this direction to give Kiev chance to negotiate humanitarian corridor, time is running out for Zelensky's regime now, and in next 2-3 days, maybe even tomorrow, we will probably see more activization of units of PMC Wagner. They may even close this gap entirely between Bakhmut and Chasiv. When it comes to overall situation on the front line, as usual, southern part is artillery duels mainly. there are some activity in Donetsk direction, Ugledar and Donetsk direction. Bakhmut, of course, is a hot point, and Krasny Liman and in general Seversk direction also more or less active, but mainly it's artillery duels between the sides. As you can see today, entire Ukraine was under air raid alert. These blue dots are telling us that entire Ukraine was under air raid alerts, but I did not see any information that Russian side conduct any missile strikes. There were reports that some explosions were heard in Sumy region and in Zaporozhye region, but no detailed information yet about this. So let's continue with some other news now. Yes, by the way, also a few minutes ago, information was reported by Russian language Telegram channels that Ukrainian side lost Su-27 jet fighter in direction of Marinka. I'm surprised, of course. Probably you are also surprised when you hear this information that jets were shut down there, Ukrainian jets were shut down there, Ukrainian helicopters were shut down in somewhere else, and probably you are thinking, how many jets and helicopters do Ukrainian has really? But I have same questions. I also have same questions. How many jets they have and helicopters? But that's what reports are saying, and I'm sharing with you information that I see on Russian media pages or in Russian Telegram channels. Let's continue with news, and this is RIA Novosti's report about Bakhmut also. And according to military expert from LPR, Lugansk People's Republic, Andrei Marochko, Zelensky's regime is reinforcing Ukrainian defense lines in direction of Bakhmut and in direction of Chasiv Yar. Let me once again show this area. To be honest, there are some rumors. Of course, you are familiar probably with this information that Zelensky's regime is planning to conduct some large-scale counteroffensive to improve the situation in Bakhmut, and some rumors are saying that Ukrainian counteroffensive will begin from Slavyansk, from Kramatorsk, from Konstantinovka, and even Chasiv Yar to push Russian forces in Bakhmut area back. But I'm quite skeptical about these rumors. I don't believe that Zelensky's regime will be able to conduct large-scale offensive operation. They may try to do some local-scale offensives from Chasiv Yar to Bakhmut direction to keep this gap open, but yet again nothing on a large scale, because I just don't think how Zelensky's regime will withdraw forces from Kramatorsk-Slavyansk defense line when this is basically last defense line they have before Dnepr here. But yet again, that's what some reports, some Telegram channels are talking about, and I'm sharing with you information and my opinion about it. And once we, because we're talking about Bakhmut, let me also notice that yesterday afternoon, head of PMC Wagner, Prigozhin, made yet another statement, and he spoke about difficulties with the supplies. If I'm not mistaken, I did share that statement on my Telegram channel. And today, some Russian language Telegram channels did report that issues have not just PMC Wagner units with ammunition. It's a general issue for many units on Russian side on the front line. And to be honest, I have no opportunity to confirm this information or completely deny it. I just don't know. But it's quite possible that after a year of intense usage of artillery, not just field artillery, but multi-launch rocket systems, it's quite possible that Russian side now experiencing some difficulties with ammunition supply, not just Ukrainian side, but Russian side also. But yet again, I have no way to confirm or deny this information that's circulating on Russian language Telegram channels. Let's continue with the news, and this is a statement from head of presidential office of Ukraine, Mikhail Podolyak did make statements that after 2 months, possibly Ukrainian side will be ready to conduct some large-scale counteroffensive operation. Yet again, when it comes to large-scale counteroffensive from Ukrainian side, usually people that are making this kind of statements are talking about this area, land bridge between Crimea and mainland Russia. I did talk about this topic many times before. Probably there is no need for me to repeat myself. I will just say that only way Zelensky's regime will ever establish control on this land bridge, let's say Ugledar, Melitopol, Berdyansk, Mariupol direction, only if Moscow will give orders to Russian forces to withdraw from this area. Because in direct combat with the Russian forces, Zelensky's regime will never be able to establish control over these territories. That's my take on it. But yet again, I'm not military expert, and let's continue now. And by the way, if you remember yesterday when I was commenting large-scale Russian missile strike on Ukrainian logistics infrastructure, energy infrastructure, and military infrastructure, I did said that maybe Russian side use Kinzhal missiles to target warehouses and depots where not just ammunition was stored by Zelensky's regime, but also military equipment and armored vehicles, including tanks, Leopard 2 tanks that was delivered to Ukraine by NATO member states. Leopard 2s in this case were 14 Leopard 2s were sent by Poland. And I was searching for any news. I was looking for any news on Russian language Telegram channels or media outlets to see any information about exact targets that was hit by Russian Kinzhal missiles, but there is no specifics about it. I just did not see any information what was targeted by those Kinzhal missiles, and that was the first time when Russian side used simultaneously 6 Kinzhal hypersonic missiles. So let's see, maybe we will learn today or tomorrow that some warehouses with those Leopards were hit by those Kinzhal missiles. Maybe we will learn that Patriot air defense system was also hit by the Kinzhal missile, but for now there is no confirmation. It's just my guess, because these Kinzhal missiles are too expensive to use against ordinary, let's say, targets. And of course, one may say that it's too much of an honor to use Kinzhal against Leopards. It's too much of an honor for Leopard tanks, because those tanks will change nothing on the battlefield, in generally speaking. And it's true, But if Russian side will destroy those tanks before they even reach front line, it will be humiliation for Western elites, and that's why Moscow may conduct that kind of strike. But yet again, no confirmation about exact targets that Kinzhal missiles hit. I did watch yesterday update from Alexander Mercuris, and if I understand correctly, he thinks that Kinzhal missiles were used to destroy Ukrainian air defense systems, because these missiles, Kinzhals, they are hypersonic, and Ukrainian air defense systems will have no time to remove from areas that they were operating. And this is true, but yet again, Russia has some other means to target air defense systems. Why use Kinzhal missile for this? But anything is possible, yet again. I mean, who knows? Let's continue now. And we have a TASS News Agency's report here, which is based on an article from Financial Times. And if we believe this information, then first, Patriot air defense systems from two promised batteries to Zelensky's regime is already in Ukraine. It was delivered. So who knows? That's maybe true, and maybe this Patriot missile is already destroyed. Also a possibility. Let's continue. We have information here that Poland did give permission to Slovakia to re-export MiG-29s. Probably Slovakia MiG-29s have been maintained, have had some maintenance from Poland, maybe some equipment from Poland. Maybe those jets were given to Slovakia by Poland, and that's why they needed permission from Poland to re-export those jets. But Warsaw did give such a permission to Slovakia, and probably we will see in near future Slovakian and possibly Polish MiG-29s also in Ukraine. But point is, from which airfield these planes will operate. MiG-29s, yes, Ukrainian maintenance crews can deal with these planes, and they may be sent in Poland. But when it comes to Western jets, that's a whole other issue. And this news exactly about the Western jets, as I understand, TASS News Agency reporting that Russian mission in UN, representatives of Russia in UN stated that if NATO member countries will send jet fighters to Ukraine, Russia will receive this step as an open involvement of NATO in this conflict. This statement is very important, as I understand, because Russian side also mentioned that it's obvious for Russia that if Western jets will be sent to Ukraine, those jets will be maintained. Those jets will receive maintenance in airfields on NATO territories, on NATO member states, on territories of NATO member states, and those jets may well operate from NATO member states also, and that's why Russia will react accordingly. And now we are seeing open statement, that's official statement from Russian side, that if West will send jets, Russia will take it as an open involvement of NATO in this conflict. Maybe, if we see similar statements from foreign minister of Russia or from administration of president of Russia, or maybe even from Putin, then this topic may become very significant. It's already significant that but then this topic may become crucial because after these kind of statements, Russia will be forced to act against countries that will be involved in deliveries of those Western jets. Let's continue. This is TASS News Agency, and the president of Serbia, Vučić, stated that he cannot promise that Serbia will not put sanctions on Russia. So as you can see, last two or 3 weeks, something has changed in Serbian government. We had information that Serbia provide Ukraine with some weaponry, like including rockets for missiles for multi-launch rocket systems. Vučić himself, president of Serbia, denied that information. He said that Serbia didn't send any weapons to Ukraine. But now, and I don't know, can I believe Vučić or not? I truly don't know. And now we have statement from Vučić in which he is saying that Serbia may become one of those countries that introducing sanctions against Russia. This will be a huge blow for relationships between Russia and Serbia, even though everyone understands that Serbia is surrounded by hostile countries, basically, and Serbia is under huge pressure. But still, the relationships between sides will be very much affected if Serbia will introduce sanctions. But yet again, let's see how it will goes. This is Kommersant newspaper. Let me check how long is this video. 22 minutes. Okay. So this is Kommersant newspaper, which is reporting that Xi Jinping has become head of Chinese Communist Party once again. There was some voting about it, and no surprises, of course. No surprises that he still head of China, but significance of this new turn for Xi Jinping is that we may see activization of China in direction of conflict in Ukraine, and we may see involvement of China as a Russian support in this conflict, as a Russian supporter. I did read this morning a statement from Chinese foreign minister, and he was saying that if China will help Russia with weapons, it will be almost same than that when the US is helping Taiwan. To be honest, I don't really see similarities here, but what probably Chinese foreign minister was trying to say is that if you can act this way, then we can also do something. And Taipei, capital of Taiwan, is receiving US weapons for billions and billions of dollars, not just weapons, but also technology, military technology. So after these kind of statements from Chinese foreign minister, I expect China to become more involved in this conflict, and in 1 or 2 months' time, we may even see introduction to the battlefield, not just Chinese-made drones and ammunition, let's say shells for field artillery or missiles for multi-launch rocket systems, or rocket systems itself. But we may also see Chinese armored vehicles on the front line, and maybe even Chinese personnel. Of course, media don't talk about it, and we will not see Chinese militaries in the screens of TV. But Chinese army has no officers with military experience. So in my understanding, if China will become involved, if China will send its weapons to Russia, then probably China will ask Russian side to for Chinese officers to be sent also to gain some experience. Because last time China fought any battle, it was against Vietnam some 50 years ago or more. So nowadays Chinese army almost has no military personnel, officers that has any military experience whatsoever, any battle experience. So that's my guess yet again, but I see this logical step from China to not just send military weapons but and equipment, but to send officers also to gain some experience, even though it will be done in secrecy when it comes to personnel. Month or two, and we will definitely see. I'm quite sure we will definitely see Chinese attack drones, Chinese ammunition, maybe Chinese armored vehicles, including tanks and armored personnel carriers, so that China can test those vehicles on the battle. So, let's see how it goes. Next topic is Georgia. As you know, government of Georgia and ruling party of Georgia, Georgian Dream, recall laws. There were two laws about foreign agent, and one law was recalled, draft of law, and second law was passed by first voting, and in second voting today, a ruling party vote against the law that they initiate in the first place. And this was done because Georgian government did agree to demands of so-called opposition, US-run so-called opposition and non-governmental organizations. They were demanding these steps to be made, and the Georgian government did exactly that. But I'm talking about Georgian last how many days now, and I was saying that US is preparing ground for regime change, and it was obvious. It was not surprise to me that this so-called opposition already yesterday stated that they are now demanding government of Georgia to step down and Prime Minister of Georgia to step down. So as you can see, this escalation, this destabilization of Georgia will continue. I'm quite absolutely sure about it, and I want to share with you statement from US ambassador in Georgia. And you tell me if it's normal when ambassador is making statements about these kind of statements about internal business, internal political matters of the country, formerly sovereign country. So look what Kelly Degnan, ambassador of US in Georgia, is saying. Now we all want to see every single member of parliament click on the red button and reject these laws that are Kremlin inspired and not necessary in Georgia. So basically US ambassador is giving orders to Georgian MPs how they should vote and what should they do. And by the way, I'm remind you that this law to start destabilization of Georgia, US did use this law about foreign agents, and this law is basically exact copy of law about foreign agents that are implemented in USA from 30s of previous century. So this is basically copy of the US law. So it's okay for US to have this kind of law, but it's not okay for Georgia to have this kind of law, isn't it? And of course US don't want Georgia or any other country to have this kind of law, because then it will become obvious that US is financing so-called politicians, so-called non-governmental organizations, and basically US is dictating what what should be done and when should be done and how to so-called civil society, non-governmental organizations and politicians. And you tell me if it's normal when foreign minister when ambassador is making these kind of statements. In my opinion, Georgian foreign ministry should call this person and protest about this kind of statements. But more than that, Georgian government should demand from Washington withdrawal of this ambassador, because she is this is basically shame for Georgia. This is shame for Georgia when ambassador is dictating to your parliament what to do and how to do it, man. That's my take on it. Anyway, so as I said, that's information that Georgian majority of Georgian parliament did exactly what U.S. ambassador told them. They vote against the law that they introduced in the parliament, but still, because this topic was used by U.S. to destabilize Georgia and to prepare ground for regime change, still so-called opposition and non-governmental organizations are continuing their criminal action, and they are continuing to prepare ground for regime change. That's why they are now demanding government of Georgia to step down, Prime Minister of Georgia to step down. Let's see how will develop situation. But in my understanding, U.S. has so much influence in Georgia, not just in so-called non-governmental organizations and opposition, but also on the U.S. probably has many agents and assets in ruling Georgian party also, and also in police, military and secret services. So if Washington is determined, I will repeat myself, but if Washington is determined to make regime change in Georgia and establish extremely anti-Russian government regime to sacrifice Georgia and use Georgia for as a second front against Russia, then this will happen. Because I don't think Georgian society has any say in this matter, to be honest. It's too late. I was trying to, when I was citizen of Georgia and when I was living in Georgia, I was trying to say to society that it's wrong when foreign country, in this case USA, is controlling almost everything in the state. They can sacrifice Georgia anytime they wish, and probably this will happen. This happened in 2008, and this will happen again. US will sacrifice Georgia once again. Yet again, if Washington is determined to use Georgia as a second front against Russia. Let's see what will happen. We have information from Russian Ministry of Economical Development, and basically Moscow is asking Russian citizens to don't travel to Georgia, and Russian citizens that are in Georgia now to leave that country because it's not safe. So let's continue now. This is RIA Novosti. You may find this news interesting. Yesterday, Lukashenko signed a law according to which there will be for officials that been accused of treason, punishment will be death sentence. So as I understand, Belarus is a last country in Europe that still has a death sentence. So that's interesting. Let's continue. Of course, this step is made to make sure that officials in Belarus are in line with government, with the political leadership. But yet again, if probably Western elites have some assets in Belarus also, and if someone wants to collaborate with the West, I don't think this kind of law will stop them. But who knows? Let's continue. This is TASS News Agency, and we have statement from head of Pentagon, Lloyd Austin, who said that Russia and Iran reach unprecedented level of сотрудничества. Let me translate this word, man. I cannot remember now. Sorry about that. Cooperation. How could I forget this word? I don't know. But so Lloyd Austin is talking about unprecedented level of cooperation between Russia and Iran, and he is not happy about it. And okay, who cares, really? Who cares? When it comes to cooperation between Russia and Iran, as I understand, I did share yesterday on my Telegram channel information that deal between Russia and Iran about deliveries of Russian Su-35 jet fighters is almost prepared by sides, and we may see this deal to be signed officially in the near future. We all know about drones that, if not Iranian made, at least it's based on Iranian technologies. Russia is actively using those drones. And there were some informations that Iran may even transfer to Russia some ballistic missiles, possible maybe. But the main point is when it comes to cooperation between Iran and Russia, that two countries are actively working now to establish this new trade route north-south. And that's the main thing, basically. Not military stuff is important, of course, but even more important is that relationships between the countries are becoming good, or maybe even very good, and both sides are now trying to establish this trade route, which will be beneficial for economies of both countries. And I don't know what US officials like or not, but me personally, I'm all for increasing cooperation between Russia and Iran, and Russia and any other country, really. So this is TASS News Agency is reporting here that this is strange news. To be honest, this news is based on an article from Financial Times, and basically what we are seeing here is that US is asking now oil traders to continue deliveries of Russian oil. Because it's, as I said many times before, it's becoming obvious day by day that with these sanctions, anti-Russian sanctions, Western elites hit Western countries too. And they now, telling to traders to continue deliveries of Russian oil, whatever without mentioning price caps and the rest of it. And yes, I did share with you this information just to, just to notice how wrong those Western elites were, and how badly they did calculate steps that they made. And it's almost every day we are hearing now that European Union will allow Russian banks to use this system and that system, and they will not buy oil directly from Russia, but they will buy Russian oil from third parties. And now US is asking oil and gas, and now US is asking traders to continue deliveries of Russian oil. And I mean, it's just like circus, man. It's so this is gonna be last news for this update. How long is this video? 40 minutes. It's too long anyway, but so this is RT. Russia Today is reporting that Russian Chinese trade on pace to hit 200 billion this year in 2023, which is quite a huge deal for Russia. Quite a huge deal for Russia. And 200 billion, it's not, it's, it's quite a number, isn't it? Quite a number. So we have some data here that in first 2 months, sales to Russia surge. So Russian imports surge 19.8%. To total of 15 billion, when Russian export to China, Chinese import surged 31.3%, up to 80.65 billion. So yes, before end of this year, trade between the countries may hit $200 billion, which is great. What can I say, man? Which is great, because Russia needs to establish relationships with Russia needs to divert its attention from west to east. Russia was too focused on the west. Russian elites were too focused on west, and they were trying to be, I was thinking, that and still think this way, that Russian elites were trying too hard. They were trying too hard to be taken by Western elites as an equal. It will never happen. Of course, it will never happen. And Western elites will never take these Russian representatives of Russian elites as equal, no matter how much money they have, man. Because Western elites, they are narcissists, man. They are racists and they are Nazis, truly. But tell those so-called elites of Russia, tell them this. They were trying too hard to be accepted by Western elites, and it was so disrespectful of Russia from them, And now it's good if at least now these idiots are realizing that Russia is self-sufficient, and there is no need to deal with the Western elites whatsoever. And future of development of Russia is with close relationships with China and India and Indo-Pacific region, with Middle East, with Africa, with Latin America. World is huge place, much bigger than Western states represent. And when someday these Western states will have some adequate people in elites, then yes, why no? Let's deal with each other, and let's have some good relationships. But it's impossible now, and it will be impossible for decades, in my understanding, because Western societies have no chance They just have no chance to change elites that they have. How are they gonna change them? I mean, no way, man. No way. Those elites are too powerful. They are control everything. They control economy. They control media. They control narrative. And there is no way European society will be able to deal with those elites in the West. They may try, but so yes, this is it. I will finish this video on this great news, really, for Russia. And yes, if you find this video interesting, please hit that like button. Leave some commentary about any topic you like. Share links to my videos or my channel with your friends on Facebook, Twitter, or any other platform that you are active on, if you can, of course. And if you want to, you can support my channel with small donations through PayPal or with subscription on my Patreon page. So yes, this is it for now. Have a nice day and take care.